Welcome to my channel, and I'm back with you once again with another video of Microsoft Flight Simulator. Nowadays I'm doing a series of videos for the Boeing 747, which is the default plane for the Microsoft Flight Simulator, and in this regard this is going to be the second video in which I will tell you how to start this plane from the cold and dark state. In this video I will be configuring the FMC, which is the flight management computer of the plane, and I will not going into the details of the FMC configuration. So if you're not really familiar with it, there is a video on my channel which you can just go and watch, in which I have told you how to configure the FMC of the 747 in detail. I've given the link of that video in the description. You can just go and follow that link, and then you can come back to this video in which you will then go through all the startup procedures. I'm going to divide this video into 5 different parts as per the checklist. The first part will consist of the power procedures, pre-flight procedures, then before startup procedures, engine startup, and what to do once the engine starts. So these are the 5 parts in which I have divided the video as per the checklist. So let's begin this video, and let's start the video with the power procedures. So first of all, we have to turn on the battery. As you can see, there is no power in the plane. So if you look at the overhead panel, you will see this button, battery. Remove the lid and press the battery button, and now the battery is on. With this, turn the standby power selector to auto, and now you will have power in the plane and you can carry on with the further procedures. Before I proceed further, I would just like to tell you that this plane has got 4 different sources of power. One is the battery, another one is the external power, third one is the APU, and the fourth one is the engine. So in order to have initial power in the plane, you turn on the battery. And then obviously you cannot keep on running on the battery, because then the batteries will drain out. For this you need external power. Right now you can see it's available. The external power is provided by a GPU van, which is the ground power unit. So once the ground power unit is connected to the plane, you will see external power available coming over here, and then you press these buttons to turn on the external power. Once you are done with all the pre-flight procedures and you are about to start your engines, then you start the APU, which is the auxiliary power unit. And once you have the power coming in from the APU, then you can start the engines. And once the engines start, you cut off the APU. What you do is this, that every time when you have a new source of power, you cut off the previous one. Once you have the engines, you cut off the APU. Once you have the APU, you cut off the external power. So that's it. So right now we have some power in the plane. But before this, we have to do some checks. Hydraulic demand pump has to be, these selectors have to be off. As you can see, they're in off position. Fuel control switches, they also have to be off. As you can see, all the 4 switches for the 4 engines. And then you have to ensure that the landing gear is down. It's there. Speed brake is disarmed, and the thrust is in the idle position. Flaps are up, and the parking brake is engaged. And now I can connect the external power. And now the plane has the external power, and that's it. You can just get rid of the caution, and then you can adjust the interior lights accordingly. You have different controls for the interior lights. Right now in this video, I will not be going through the interior lights, but I will do a separate video for that, because it's already daylight and you have good visibility inside the cockpit. Now moving on to the second part of this video, which is the pre-flight procedures, and you have to carry out these pre-flight procedures in order to prepare the plane for the flight. First of all, you have to turn on the seatbelt signs to auto. Remember this thing, that the seatbelt signs are actually turned on once the fueling is done. But for this video, I'm just turning it on right now, or setting it to auto. If you set it to auto, then during the flight, the seatbelt signs will not the scenes. The seatbelt signs will keep on turning on and off throughout the flight. So let's set it to auto. But once you're done with the fueling, then it's better to change it to auto or change it to on. Now, what you're going to do is this. You're going to go over here on the overhead panel, and then you have to set these iris selectors to nav for the left, right, and center. Iris is actually the inertial reference system. This provides the GPS coordinates to the flight management computer. So it's necessary to turn it to nav, otherwise your plane will not do navigation, because it will not know where it is. Okay, so you have to turn it to nav. First of all, move it to align, and then to nav. So move these selectors to nav, and now the iris alignment will be done. As you can see, it will be done in the next 1 minute if you look at your navigation display. You can reduce this time by going over here in the FMC and going to the index and then settings, or you can also access it by pressing the menu button and then settings. And over here you will see iris alignment, real, accelerated, or instant. If you set it to real, it will take 7 to 8 minutes, accelerated 1 minute, instant, obviously it's done instantly. So now what you're going to do is this. In the FMC, let me just get rid of this yoke again. And let me just go to menu, FMC, and position initialization. You will see it over here. So you have to actually set the position of your plane over here in this interface. So first of all, select the reference airport, which is EGLL, the ICAO code for the Heathrow International Airport. And then the GPS position, you have to copy it by pressing this soft key, adjust into GPS position, and then pressing this soft key, which is next to set iris position. In the FMC, if you see anything in these squares, you have to enter it. This information has to be entered for the FMC configuration. So press this button and the GPS position will be pasted. That's it. And we have entered the reference airport and the position. That's it. Now, what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to go with the pre-flight procedures. And I'll press Control 8 to see the overhead panel. Now, overhead panel, you have to do some checks. And you will just go in the flow, top to bottom, left to right. So, iris set to nav. Utility, left, right is on, as you can see. Then bus tie switches on. And you can see, or set to auto. You can see the bus tie switches are set to auto. Then generator control switch is on. Hydraulic demand pumps, these all 4 selectors should be off. And hydraulic engine pump switches should be on. That's it. Then over here, you will see the emergency light. I think you cannot see it like this, but you have to move it to armed position. Right now it was off. Let me just move it. This is on, this is armed, and this is off. So arm it and then close the lid. Then fuel crossfeed switches should be on. And then the fuel pumps should be off. Right now you can see all the fuel pumps. These are the switches for the fuel pumps, for the center, for the stab, and the main tanks, left and right. So all these fuel pumps are off. Then you have to turn on the anti-ice or set it to auto. So you can see these all switches have got 2 positions, auto and off. So I will set it to auto. So it will be on if required. The click regions are a bit difficult, but anyhow, wing anti-ice set to auto, and that's it. And with this, the window heat has to be turned on. Now go over here and you will see your damper. Your damper has to be on. It's already on. You don't have to worry about that. But still, if it's off, you have to turn it on. Then what you have to do is this: check that the passenger temperature for the controllers for the passenger temperature and for the flight deck and for the cargo set to auto. All these 3 selectors are set to auto. Then the recirculation fans should be on. Trim air should be on. Packs, turn it on because this is the air conditioning. Packs have to be on. Just right before starting the engines, we will turn the packs off because all the air will be required to start the engines. And once you have the engines, then you can start the packs again. Then APU bleed is on, and plus make sure that the engine bleed is on. All these 4 buttons for the engine bleed are on. Now what I'm going to do is this. I am now going to set or configure the FMC. So I'll press Control 8 once again. I'll get rid of the yoke and move the speed brake a bit back because, it just comes in the middle of the controller. So let's keep it like this. So now let's start with the FMC configuration. So what I'm going to do is this. First of all, I'm going to go to this option route, and I'm going to set the origin airport, the destination, plus the runway. The origin will be EGLL to EDDF, and the runway for the takeoff will be 09 left. That's it. I can press activate and execute. And now I can go to departure and I can select the runway. Runway for the departure is already selected and the set is DET1K. I can select it. Then I can go back to route again, next page, and then I can enter the airways and the waypoints. L6 DVR, first airway. And DVR is the first waypoint. After this, airway. UL9 to Conan. I'm just doing it quickly because I've told you before that I have actually explained all this in the previous video. So you can just go and watch it if you're not really familiar with FMC configuration. Otherwise, if you'll know it, it will be really easy to do it. It should not take you more than 3 or 4 minutes to configure the FMC. Remba and then UL 6 or 7 to SPI. And T180 to Unoko. Execute and then arrival index. Arrival will be 25 center. DF5 to 6 will be the transition and the star will be Unok 4A. That's it. So go to this option and now check if your flight plan is correct or not. Just keep on pressing this button step and it will take you through the flight plan to see if there is any discontinuity or any issue in the flight plan. Everything is looking good so far. Now we have an issue. Vector is coming. You can delete it by pressing this button and then you can execute and then you can also delete this discontinuity and that's it. There is only one discontinuity that comes in this flight plan and now your flight plan is ready with the missed approach procedures. And you also have to go and configure the init ref. So you can access the init ref by pressing this button and then you can get the 0 fuel weight. And the reserves for this flight will be, but before this, let's change the weight. I'm using the default weight and fuel that's coming over here. So you can just carry on your flight like this because, you know, for this flight, very little fuel is required, 28,000 kgs or 28 tons. So I can just adjust the slider for the fuel. It's 28 and the weight I will be carrying is 288 and the center of gravity will be 11.62. Because this is the setting that I've done in the previous video, so I'm just trying to keep it like this. You turn it off and then I think you can, no, you cannot change it, but anyhow you can just leave it like this. The reserves for this flight will be 12 tons and the cruising altitude will be 380 or 38,000. Cost index will be 90. The bigger the number, the higher the speed. During the cruise thrust limit, I'll just go like this. If I select the temperature, then it will go at 100% thrust. So you can just select it like this. This is actually a temperature that you enter it in the FMC, which tells the flight management guidance system that how much hot it's outside. If it's too hot, then the plane actually takes off at a reduced thrust. So this is kind of a technique that's used by the planes in order to put less stress on the engines. But it is totally dependent upon the airlines. Right now you're doing simulations, so you really don't have to worry about that. You can just enter any number over here. Then go to the takeoff and set the flaps to, but rather what I'm going to do is this. I'm not going to configure the takeoff performance right now. So what I've done is this, that I have done the positioning and the performance and the thrust limit. Okay. Or rather, I can also set the takeoff. Set the flaps to position 10. Or let's do it right now and enter the center of gravity and then V1, VR, and V2. So now I'm done with the FMC configuration. So what we can do is this. We can now set the EFIS and the mode control panel or the MCP. This is EFIS on the left hand side, and on the right hand side, this is known as the electronic flight instrument system. Over here, you actually set the barometric pressure in order to adjust the altimeter. You set the minimums. You select the range or the zoom level for the navigation display, and then the type of information we want to see on the navigation display: approach, VOR, map or plan. Plan and map you're already seeing over here. VOR and approach I will tell you once we are doing an ILS approach. So let's keep it at map, and with this you can see some information coming over here. Weather, you can just get these radials in order to see the weather. Plus you can press this button to see different constraints at different waypoints. It's not visible. I think it should be coming. Right now you can see at DET 6000 is coming because this is a constraint, and by this time 6:26 in the morning you will reach this point. Right now it's 6:19. If you take off right now, it will take you this much time. So anything coming with Z is Zulu. It's your time as per the UTC. That's it. So what you do is this. First of all, you have to adjust the altimeter. Altimeter is adjusted by setting the barometric pressure, because plane measures the height of the plane based on the barometric pressure change. So that's why you have to actually get the barometric pressure. Sorry, not this option, ATIS. Go to the ATC option, and over here you will see ATIS. Actually, this is the frequency at which you will get the weather update. 29.902. So right now the QNH is 29.902. It's coming as a standard one because right now for this video I'm actually using the clear skies or the clear weather. That's why it's coming as standard. Otherwise it will be actually as per the weather which is there in the Heathrow or your destination airport. Oh, sorry, departure airport, not the destination airport. So you can just adjust the altimeter according to this. If you see you're changing the altimeter, it is actually adjusting. Changing the barometric pressure, it's adjusting the altimeter. 29.902. So that's it. So this is how you adjust it. Just enter it over here. Minimums, I will be doing it once I'm performing an ILS approach. When I'll be doing that video, then I will tell you how to configure the the minimums. You have to then turn on the flight director. It's actually a crosshair that appears over here on the navigation display, and now the flight director is on. It will then give you all the information related to the flight on your primary flight display, and this part of the primary flight display is known as the flight mode enunciator. It's got different columns. Different information will come during the flight. You have to actually arm the auto throttle, because once you will take off and you will turn on the autopilot, then the speed will be controlled by the autopilot. If you do not turn on the auto throttle, then the autopilot will not take control of the throttle. Then you have to do it manually. So turn it on, and then the speed you have to attain is actually over here is the V2 speed. So just look at the V2. It's coming as 161 knots. So this is a speed at which you can still fly even if one of your engines fail or two engines fail in this plane. So you have to actually attain the speed and then perform a go around and then come back and land again. So this is your speed at which you should be flying right after the takeoff. So let's set it over here, 161. That's it. Then you have to set the heading of the runway from which you are taking off. Let's get this heading, and let's refer to the charts. If you don't have access to the Navigraph charts, you can also Google this information and you can get the heading of this runway. So I will be actually taking off from 9 left. So if I know, rather what I can do is this, I can access this chart and I can see the runway. 9 left, heading is 89 degrees. So I can just set it to 89. Oops, I'm going the other way. That's it. And now you can also set the altitude at which you should be cruising after the takeoff. That is 36,000 feet or 38,000 feet. I think 38,000 feet. So let's set it to 38,000 feet. Just to tell you one thing, this plane has got a very good VNAV following. Actually, there are two buttons. I will just explain it to you what these two buttons are: LNAV and VNAV. This is lateral navigation and this is vertical navigation. Lateral navigation actually enables your plane to follow the flight path, going left or right, where to go. This is actually given to the flight management computer with the help of an LNAV. So if you press the LNAV, and then the plane will actually follow this flight path. And if you press the VNAV, the plane actually sets its speed and the climb and the descent rate as per the flight plan. And it's good to have this VNAV and LNAV option on. So if I even set it to 38,000 and I turn on the VNAV, the plane will actually follow all these restrictions over here coming as per the point. So let's say while taking off from runway 9 left at this point, you should be 3,000 above. So as the VNAV will be active, the plane will actually try to go above 3,000 feet before this point. And till DET, it will restrict itself to 6,000 because you cannot go more than 6,000, and afterwards it will again climb to 38,000 feet. So that's why I straight away give 38,000 feet. Once the plane is taking off, all the restrictions of the altitude and the speed will be followed by the plane as per the flight plan. This is one of the really good things about this plane. Initially, it was not so good in it, but over a period of time, after so many updates, now this plane is working perfectly all right, and you will enjoy a flight with it. So now you have configured everything over here. Let's bring back the speed brake lever. Now there is one more thing that you have to do. If you go over here on the pedestal, you will see transponder. And you have to actually change it to from standby. It's initially at standby. You have to move it to. Why it's not coming? The click regions are so annoying at times. Okay, so now it's set to transponder. You have to set it over here. With this, what I'm going to do is this. I'm then going to turn on the two lights, because right now I will be moving on with the startup of the APU and the engines. But before this, you have to turn on the beacon and the nav light. You need the beacon and the nav light to be on, and I will tell you why. So first of all, if you go over here on the overhead panel, you will see beacon. You turn it on to both, and then you have to turn on the nav. Now what I'll do is this. I will change the time of the day. Let's see what it is. 7:26 right now. So I'm going to change it to the evening time. And I will just go out and will show you the nav lights and the beacon. You can see this red light blinking under the plane, and on the top of the plane. This actually tells the ground crew or the ground staff that now I'm going to start the engines and start the APU, so they will clear this area, and soon the pushback will start. You turn on the beacon as soon as you're about to start the engines, and during the flight, the beacon remains on till the landing and till the time you turn off the engines. So beacons remain on. And also the nav lights. Nav lights are basically three lights on the wingtips and at the tail of the plane. If you are looking at the green light, it means that the plane is going towards its right. If some plane is looking at this plane in the night, right now there is light on it, so it's facing towards its right. But in the dark, if some plane sees a green light, so they will know that this plane is going towards its right. And if they are seeing a white light, it means they are looking at the plane from the back. And if they see a red light, then it means the plane is going towards its left. So that's why you turn on the nav lights. And plus you also have these tiny little white lights on the wingtips. So that's it. So let me just change the time again to morning. Let's keep it at 7:30. That's it. So you have to turn on the beacon and the nav, and then you have to turn on the APU. So for this, what you're going to do is this. You have to turn this selector to first of all start, and then it will automatically go back to on. Till the time APU is on, I will just take you through this checklist. If you press this button over here, you will see a checklist And then you can just go through the checklist as well. Parking brakes you have said. Fuel control switches, they are cut off as we have checked before. It's normal. Then you go to the next page. Passenger signs on. Mode control panel, you have actually configured the mode control panel. Takeoff speeds you have entered. CDU pre-flight completed. Trim. Now you have to actually set the trim. I will tell you how to do this. Taxi and takeoff briefing complete. Beacon on. Normal. Now this is before the taxi checklist, so I will not be going through this taxi checklist right now, but I'll come back to it. So I can press. We can set it to electrical. Let's keep it there. So now you'll see that the APU is now available. So what I'm going to do is this. Now I am going to turn on the APU. And as soon as I've turned on the APU, you can see the external power is automatically cut off. So this was the pre-flight procedures. Now I have to jump onto the next section of this video, which is before the start and the pushback. So what you have to do is this. First of all, you have to see that all the doors are closed. How you see it? You go over here and you see this button, doors, DRS, and you will see that all the doors are closed. If any door is open, you will see it over here. Right now they are manual, but as soon as you'll start the pushback, they will all turn to automatic. So all the doors are now closed. Now you have to turn on the hydraulic demand pump. But before this, I would just like to tell you one thing, that if the hydraulic pumps are off, the plane will have no controls. I'll show you. If you press this button, hydraulic, and flight control. And if I move the controller, you see the yoke is moving, but on the flight control, nothing is happening. So it means that no part of the plane is moving because the hydraulics are off. As you can see it over here, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So what you have to do is this. You have to turn on the hydraulic demand pumps. So just go to the overhead panel and move these selectors to auto. Just come back and look at this flight control screen. And now that error is gone. And now if you move the yoke, you will see something happening over here. So it means all the plane parts are moving. So it's very interesting. It's a very good feature of this plane. And now you have to turn on the fuel pumps because soon you will be starting the engine. So you need fuel pumps. So now the fuel pumps are on. Just go over here on this screen. Fuel, select fuel, and you will see there is nothing in the stab and the reserve tank. So no need to turn them on. But right now, wherever the fuel is, you can see all these pumps are running. And now it's good. Otherwise, if you have got fuels in the stab and the reserve tank, then you will also turn on these buttons. So let's look at these screens. These are known as the ICAS. And ICAS is engine indicating and crew alerting system. There are two screens. One is above and another one is the low one. The upper ICAS and the lower ICAS. And over here you will see lots of information. So it's better to keep on looking on these screens because they will give you lots of information. Right now you can see the engine is now shut down. Cabin temperature, this error is coming. APU is running. Doors are set to normal and parking brakes are set. So during the flight, you just keep on looking at the ICAS and it will give you a very good information about the plane. So right now what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to turn off the packs because soon I will be going with the pushback and then I will be starting the engines. As I told you before, we don't need packs once the engines start because all the air is right now required to start the engines. So now everything is done. I can turn on the LNAV and VNAV, get rid of this caution. And you can see pack 1, 2, and 3 is off, engine shut down. APU is running and we have power. Let's see if we have power coming in from the electrical. You can see the power is coming. Okay, great. So what I can do is this. I can now release the parking brakes and I can call for the pushback. Ground services, Heathrow ground, and pushback.
Heathrow ground Emirates 420 requesting pushback.
Emirates 420 pushback request accepted.
Now the pushback has started and the pushback is a bit tricky in the Microsoft Flight Simulator if you're using the default one. If you're using any plugin, I think it will be easy to do a pushback. But with this, I'm always having difficulties. You really have to, estimate when to start the turn. So as the runway is towards the left side, if I'm not wrong, yes, it is towards the left side. So I will be turning towards right. So what I can do is this, I can ask the ATC to turn it to the right.
Heathrow Ground Emirates 420 requesting pushback tug to steer the aircraft to the right.
Emirates 420, your request has been transmitted to the operator.
And soon I can ask it to stop.
Heathrow Ground Emirates 420 requesting the end of pushback.
Emirates 420, request to end pushback received.
Now let's go outside and see how is the pushback. Wow. I will just try to give myself 15 out of 10. Good score. Not that good, but still I'm aligned with this runway. Okay, so what I'm going to do is this. Now I'm going to start the engine. So I'm going to the next part of this video. So what I'm going to do is this. First of all, you have to turn on the engine start switch on for the engine 4. You start from the right side and then you go to the left side. So 4, 3, 2, 1. So just pull this engine start switch out, and then you have to actually turn on this engine fuel control switch for engine 4, and then you will see this engine 4 will be running. This is actually the N1, the rotation of the engine, and plus this is the EGT, exhaust gas temperature. You will wait for this engine to stabilize, and then you go with the third, and then the fourth, and the first. Fourth, third, second, and the first. So this is how you go with it. So what I can do is this. I can save some time and I can turn on all the 4 engines. You can do it over here just to save some time. And let's go out and see if the engines are running or not. Now you can see all the 4 engines are now running. I will just wait for the engines to stabilize. And as soon as the engine stabilizes, you will see these engine switches will just go back automatically. I'll just wait for it. Right now the 4th one has gone back, but not the 3rd, 2nd, and the 1st one. Let's wait for it. You will hear a click sound and then the switch will actually like this. Now the engine 3 is also running. Engine 2. And that's it. So all the 4 engines are now running, as you can see. And now it says pack 1, 2, and 3 is off. So what you can do is this. You can turn on the packs. These are the 3 buttons for the packs, for the air conditioning. And soon I think you'll also get rid of this error, cabin temp. All set to auto. That's it. That's it. Now what you're going to do is this. You're going to set the auto brake to RTO. This is actually a brake required in case of rejected takeoff. So you have to set it over here. So right now, if you look at the ICAS, the engine indicating and crew alerting system, you will see auto brake is set to RTO. Doors are still auto. Parking brake is set and APU is running. We have to actually turn off the APU because we don't need it anymore. So what you can do is this. You can just simply go and use the selector and move it off, and now the APU will be off. And sometime I think it says cooling, APU cooldown. Yes, it says APU cooldown, and then it will also vanish. That's it. And you have to set the flaps. So in order to set the flaps, you can just pull back on this controller, or what you can do is this. You can just simply move your mouse over here and move your mouse wheel, and it will just go to position 10, or you can also use the keyboard. Right now on my keyboard, I have got 3 keys for the flaps, the ones that I use. And it's F5, F6, and F7. F7 fully retract the flaps. F6 retract the flaps step by step. F7 extend the flaps step by step. And F8 fully extend the flaps. So these are the 4 buttons I use. I think it's by default the Microsoft Flight Simulator. So now what I'm going to do is this. We have done it before, but it's part of the after start procedure. You have to actually check whether the flight controls are working or not. So simply press this button and move your yoke and the rudder and the ailerons just to see that all the controls are working. Actually, you go like this. You pull it, push it, then you pull it back, left, and then right, and then you rudders. Actually, with this, the rudder and the tiller is connected. As you can see, when I'm moving the rudder, these are the rudder pedals, but the tiller is also moving because they are connected. With the tiller, you actually turn the plane left and right on the runway, and with the rudder, you actually turn the plane left and right in the air. But right now, they are connected. But if you're using a controller, they have got different functionalities, then obviously they will not be working together. That's it. Now with this, what you're going to do is this. You can turn on all the lights. Just remember to turn on all the lights, taxi, and the wing light and the logo light. So when you turn on all the lights, I will just show you over here by changing the time. Let's go to the evening time. Let's go out of the plane. So right now you can see left, right, center, wing lights, and this is your logo light. Everything is on. Beacon is also blinking the red light, and you have got your nav lights on. So all these lights are on. You don't turn on all these lights before the engine startup or before the taxi, because if the plane is parked at the gate, then obviously these lights will be very bright for the people working at the ground. So that's why after the pushback, you turn these lights on so that you can see the taxiway and the runway. Even it's morning or it's night, you turn on these lights because bright lights enable other planes to see your plane from the distance. So it's a good practice to have these lights on during the day, during the time, during the landing, and during the taxi and the takeoff. One thing you don't turn it on. This is the strobe. You turn it on once you're at the runway about to take off. Then you turn the strobe on. And plus you can also adjust transponder from transponder to TARA, traffic avoidance, so that you can see the traffic over here on the navigation display. And then you can also press this button WXR to see these circles for the distance on your navigation display. So that's it. I think I have explained everything in detail. And still, if you've got any questions, the comment section is there for you. You can ask me any question. If there is a delay, kindly excuse me for that. I try to respond to all your questions in time, but still, at times I'm just a bit late. And if you want to add anything to this video, you're more than most welcome. The comment section is there for you. Thank you very much for staying with me. Have a nice day. Hope to see you soon.